Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Maryland Minds, shaping the future of AI. Tonight, we will feature 7 outstanding faculty and students solving the grand challenges of our time. Please help me welcome to the stage Jessica Roberts, Senior Executive Director of the Alumni Association.
Good evening, Terps, and welcome to Maryland Minds, an event filled with Terp trailblazers at your university who are shaping the future of AI. My name is Jessica Roberts, and I'm the Senior Executive Director of your Alumni Association, and also a proud alum class of 2002. Tonight is important to me because as Terps, it gives us a chance to experience firsthand what our university is doing to harness AI as we tackle the grand challenges of our time. We are at the forefront of AI innovation with hundreds of students and faculty activating AI to solve real-world problems people like you and me are facing every day. If you haven't seen, the Robert H. Smith School of Business has an AI certification program with more than 30,000 participants. Can we get a round of applause for that? As alums, this is your legacy. Tonight, you'll be among the first to hear from our Maryland Minds, elite faculty and passionate students from across 4 different industries, the people who are using AI to transform learning, research, and our world. If you take away one thing from tonight, I hope it's that people are at the heart of everything we do. Not just at AI innovation, but at your alumni association. Terps support Terps. This event is part of our larger Professional Development Month, a chance for Terps from all industries and career stages to come together, support each other, and know that this university is here for them. Beyond February, we're bringing back long-awaited signature events like our On Terppreneur Conference and Black Alumni Weekend, ways to keep the Terrapin momentum going long past graduation. That's what tonight is about, not just a moment, but momentum. We are moving forward for tomorrow's trailblazers, forward for bold and brave solutions, and forward for stronger communities, themes you will hear from tonight's speakers. Before we get into our program, I'm eager to share with you a video that captures that momentum through the Forward campaign launched just this past fall.
The distance between what is and what could be has never been smaller.
We stand at the cusp of unprecedented transformation.
It only takes a spark
to launch us forward.
Forward to empower future leaders.
Forward to make groundbreaking discoveries.
Forward to find innovative solutions.
Forward to inspire a movement.
We call upon the strength of our Terrapin community.
To push the edge of possibility.
To unite for good.
To change life and lives.
This is our campaign for the fearless.
Together, we will move forward.
The Forward campaign will accelerate our momentum, bring unprecedented transformation to our communities, our state, and beyond. It is for the fearless, every student, faculty member, parent, partner, and supporter, and every proud Terp alum who believes in our mission and our ability to change life and lives. We want you to join us. Now please enjoy hearing from tonight's Maryland Minds. We hope it brings you a sense of pride and that you will stay connected with us as we all move forward. Go Terps.
Please help me welcome our first speaker to the stage, Dr. Mumu Shu.
Hi everyone, my name is Mima Shu. I am a professor in aerospace engineering here at the University of Maryland. I get to kick off this wonderful evening with you guys, so I hope you enjoy. And if not, it'll be over fast, so here we go. So I'm going to talk a little bit about AI for autonomous vehicles. So AI, as you have probably already seen, is becoming increasingly prevalent in our lives. If you go to your phone now and search apps, you'll see a number of different apps that can identify wild mushrooms for you. So people go out hiking and they take a picture and it'll say whether or not it's poisonous. You can see where this is going to go. In 2024, there was a recent uptick in poisonous hospital cases, and a team of scientists in Australia went and actually looked at those apps and found out that the most accurate one was about 44% correct. Not great, right? So you can imagine the implications of this for these purely cyber applications. Now, the types of robots and things that I work with are embodied in physical things. So I work with self-driving cars and autonomous drones, and I don't work with medical robotics, thankfully. But these things have like this physical embodiment that could actually hurt people too, right, if being used improperly. So one of the keys is that safety is no longer just nice to have, it's a matter of life and death. But the problem is that AI is very, very complex, and robotics and these cyber physical systems are very, very complex. So much that we don't actually understand what's going on underneath the hood, or at least understand it fully. And if we don't understand these things fully, it's very difficult for us to be able to assess whether things are going to behave correctly every single time in all sorts of different situations. So the key part of our work is really thinking about how AI can interface with our everyday lives and how we can think about safely integrating them. And so in order to do that, we're actually looking at any AI system. And the problem is when you work with companies to try to figure out how their AI systems can fit safely, their work is proprietary. We can't really talk about it. And so enter Mario Kart. We actually decided to use Mario Kart as a stand-in AI system to train him to finish driving or to drive really quickly because we have access to all the code underneath. It's an old enough system that we hopefully think Nintendo won't come after us. It's really easy for us to understand. Mario has to drive really quickly and finish a lap. And it was just really fun for students and I to play in the middle of the day and still claim we're getting paid for work. So that was Mario. So this is what we first did, right? We trained Mario to finish a lap. And on the left, you can see a map of what the actual lap was. And the goal was to stay below a certain speed limit and finish the race. And that's all we did. And we did something called reinforcement learning, which if you don't know what that is, it's fine. But essentially, we're rewarding good behavior and taking points for bad behavior. So Mario only knows that he can go straight, go left, or go right, or hop. Those are the only moves that he can do. And we, over the course of millions and millions of times playing the game, he gets points for doing well, negative points for going backwards, and he eventually learns to actually complete a race. And so on the right, you'll see our initial Mario doing fairly well. This is 100 traces of Mario. The parts on the left in red indicate where he's gone a little bit past the speed limit. And you can sort of see in the middle, he's kind of crossing over the lanes, right? He's not actually not staying on track because the goal is to go very, very fast. So it's great for a video game. You get to beat your friends and everything. But when this gets translated into the real world, if you have an autonomous car, you can't cross a red light in order to kind of get to your location. Or what happens if a drone flies through a no-fly zone, right? Those situations have real-life consequences that are really important. And so how do we prevent these types of things from happening? And that's kind of the heart of the issue. And so this brings us to the push and pull of the difficulty with AI systems, in that our classical methods that we use to control things rely on math. And I say basic math in the sense that we understand what's going on. Now, if you remember back to middle school, how we used to graph a line, y equals mx plus b is our slope-intercept equation, right? So the m represents how steep your line is, and the b represents like how high the line is. And that's it, right? You understand the changes you make to the line are going to implicate how it looks. Okay, but that's classical methods, right? If we think about AI, what we do is we train it with some data. We basically give it a picture. This is what the road looks like. And it gives us an output. It says, turn the steering wheel left or turn the steering wheel right. But inside that is an actual complex neural network that has thousands and thousands of parameters. And it's really difficult for even the designers to understand what's going on underneath the hood. Essentially, it's a black box. We don't understand it. And so this comes at a price, because basic math methods, we have great guarantees. We can mathematically say, this is going to work, this is not going to work. But it applies to somewhat simpler problems. AI can do wonderful things, but it comes at the price of us not being able to guarantee things at the same time. And so this is kind of the key, is that we want to be able to think about modern AI and the flexibility it can provide us, but also provide some really nice mathematical guarantees. And we use something called signal temporal logic, which is, ignore the words, but essentially it's a universal translator. It says, if I give it a rule that says stay below a certain speed limit, it will do that for us. And it translated into a math, and we think about this problem now as a designer and a regulator. So the designer is the person who makes Mario, the regulator is a regulatory agency that comes up with rules, and we basically have a feedback loop that designs the AI, and then we go and check it like a report card. But we can actually give you numbers to say what works and what doesn't work. And so this is an example of an improvement. In here, we can see that the red is no longer there, so Mario slows down. He gets back onto the road quicker than it used to be. And I'm going to show you a video accompanied with music. So up top are the semi-trained ones, and on the bottom are the fully trained AI Marios. We did it, and Bad Mario never finished, right? Okay, so what does this mean for the future, right? It's not enough for our AIs to perform well or perform better than it used to. We have to really think about AI in terms of safety and trust, and build up these systems to both have these nice mathematical, auditable, verifiable proofs that these systems are going to work for us, but also be able to be flexible and do all the wonderful things that we know it can. And so now we have written rules. We want to be able to impose them on these systems, but we also have to think about what those rules need to be. And so that's the question I leave for all of you while I escape. All right? Thank you.
Please help me welcome our next speakers to the stage, Dr. John Fisher and Ryan Felix.
So welcome everyone. My name is John Fisher. I'm a professor and chair of the bioengineering department. I'm here with an outstanding graduate student in our lab, Ryan Felix. And we're going to be talking to you today about some of our work in bioprinting. So our talk is AI for Health, Precision Tissue Engineering. So as many of you can appreciate, critical tissue loss remains a significant challenge in medicine. This can be tissue loss due to cancer. In this case, we see a large cranial defect due to trauma, or it can be a congenital defect. We've been dealing with tissue defects since the beginning of history, the beginning of medicine. And historically, we use things like materials, or we might even use tissue grafts from another person or from our own body to heal these defects. But about in the 90s, the idea was, could we grow tissues in the lab and use those as replacement tissues for medicine? So our lab has worked in this area of bioprinting, where we're using a printing approach, a 3D printing approach to build these tissues. Here you just think of like a toothpaste tube, extruding toothpaste out of that tube, but we're just doing this very, very precisely to build a three-dimensional object. And in that toothpaste, we can put a cell population. We can put multiple cell populations in there, stem cells, functional cells, parenchymal cells, and build a replacement tissue. Our lab has been working in this area for a number of years now, over 20 years at our time in Maryland, and have looked at a variety of different tissue applications. I show some of the work here we've done in building vascular grafts for cardiovascular applications, bone, cartilage. We've done face printing, if you can believe it, for the DoD. And we've also built some projects recently in women's health on building the nipple areolar complex for women who've had complete mastectomies, as well as building models of the placenta. But our challenge today is we need to print better. And Ryan has done some outstanding work in our lab using AI approaches to print these tissues better. He's going to explain to you what better means and how AI can help us print better.
Thank you, Dr. Fisher. So it's my pleasure to talk to you all about some of my PhD work in this area. And I want to start with describing the process of actually printing these 3D printed constructs. So when we go to do that, there are a lot of different print parameters that we need to select in order to get a high quality tissue. And our process of doing that includes starting with an initial guess, an educated guess, to what print parameters are going to produce the highest quality tissue. And then we follow that with a trial and error process by which we're tuning the parameters to try and get better quality each time. So this is a pretty tedious process, not just because it requires iteration, but also because it requires, or rather it begs the question, what constitutes a better functional living tissue? And that's not really an easy question to answer. So there's a number of different criteria that grade a bioprinted construct. Here are just a few of them: extrusion behavior, filament strength, print accuracy, among others. And then also when we're evaluating any of these different conditions, what we're actually doing is utilizing and consuming some of the bioink, which is a fairly expensive material to manufacture with. And so the bottom line here is that if we can accelerate the ability for us to optimize this printability process, we can lower the cost of making living tissues, and then we can also increase the speed of research in this field. So when we're actually in the lab printing, we're looking at a lot of different print parameters. So there's a whole host of different ones that will influence the quality of the print. However, there are three that are most responsible for getting us the highest print quality, and that's the extrusion pressure, the extrusion temperature, and then the printer head speed. So normally we're manually tuning these different parameters, but in this case we want to use AI and leverage AI in this tuning process. And so our approach to doing this, really the main thrust of that approach is telling the AI what bioprinting success looks like. And so our approach to that involves printing a test construct that can tell us, that can essentially assess what the filament strength is. And when we print these constructs under certain conditions, what we can do is we can prescribe a numerical value to what the actual quality of that print is, and then we can ask AI to tell us what a new set of print parameters would be that's expected to be better. And when we print these print parameters, we find that the AI trends towards producing prints that are increased in print quality. And so this is not something that's sort of done on its own. It requires a large data set in order to accomplish this. So really what we've done is we're repeating this many, many times, again and again and again. We're printing. And we're developing a data set that has print conditions and print qualities, good and bad qualities, so that AI can learn from that and decide on better print conditions and accelerate the bioprinting process. So what do we really envision as the future of this? So we really want to see AI integrated into bioprinting, driving automated, precise, and large-scale manufacturing of tissues, and we think that AI can help us by lowering the cost and also increasing the speed at which we can do these investigations. So the final thing I would kind of want to close with is just some examples of prints that are done in our lab. So on the right of the screen, you can see a bioprinted ear. Then we have a bioprinted femur, which is the largest tissue engineered construct that we know of, and then a bioprinted nose. And then the print that you see before you is actually a nipple areolar complex. So patients, after they have a full mastectomy, when they're getting treated for breast cancer, lose that nipple areolar complex. So one of the major endeavors of the lab right now is trying to manufacture these so that they can be used in breast reconstruction surgery. So with that, I'd like to thank the organizers, and we'd like to thank everyone for your time and attention.
Please help me welcome our next speakers to the stage, Dr. Sylvette Latouche Howard and Dr. Tracy Ziegler.
Imagine for a moment you are training to be a pilot. You've read all of the manuals, you've mastered the aeronautics, the dynamics, and you've passed every written test. The next thing you know, it's your first day of practical training. Your instructor walks you in, you walk straight past the flight simulator and onto a Boeing 747 with 400 passengers on board. And the instructor says, go ahead, take us for a flight.
Terrifying, right? Students in medical school spend tons of time on a cadaver before they actually touch a patient. In aviation, pilots spend thousands of hours before they actually leave the ground.
But in public health, we don't have cadavers. We don't have flight simulators. For decades, our lab has been the real world. Our students learn theory, and then they're asked to practice on real communities.
And that keeps us up at night. Because when a student makes a mistake in the community, whether it's using the wrong tone, or ignoring a cultural nuance, or even proposing a tone-deaf intervention, they're not just failing an assignment. In fact, they're breaking trust that took years to gain and probably may never be regained again.
Yep. So we asked ourselves, what if we could build a sandbox, a place where students can practice mitigating the grand challenges of our time without any risk?
And this is where our partnership with our colleagues over at the Computer, Mathematical, and Natural Sciences Department come into play. Together with CMNS, we are not only building a chatbot, no, we're actually building the world's first AI computer-powered simulator.
So think of it as a flight simulator for public health. We are using large language models to create a virtual community. Initially, it's a text-based interface, like a chatbot, where students interact with a virtual resident. Eventually, we aim to evolve this into a virtual reality environment filled with virtual avatars populating our simulator.
But here is the critical difference. This is not regular ChatGPT where we can put in something and the ChatGPT will just act like a community member, because that's not that easy or that simple, right? Instead, what we want is for our community simulator to actually better understand some of those historical complexities, such as health equity and all of the isms.
So when a student proposes a nutrition campaign, the AI won't just say, hey, good job. Instead, it's going to push back. It might say, I don't have a car to get to that grocery store, or I don't know if I can trust that organization because of what happened in our community a few years ago. But a simulator is only as good as its impact on the user. So we're grappling with a few big research questions this semester. Do you want to go back?
So, to make this real, we're going to imagine that we are launching a campaign in Prince George's County. And we have spent months working on this campaign. Months, a lot of time. And what we're doing is when we launch it, it falls flat after all that time. Why? Because communities are not monoliths, not at all. They are actually complex ecosystems of personalities, beliefs, and culture. So, what if we were to actually test our campaigns before they left our labs or our classrooms? What if we could simulate a community and their reaction just as we would be able to simulate the weather. Well, in our study, we are actually feeding our community simulator with real data from Prince George's County residents, with information about their health locus of control, their personality, and also health behavior theory.
And so where we are today is understanding the acceptability and usability of the simulator. We're pilot testing in classrooms, checking to see how students feel about the tool. Do they trust it? Does it give them the information that they would anticipate to see from a community? How do the instructors feel about it? Is it a useful tool for their learning? Is it ethical? Then we're looking at the power of the avatar. Does it make a difference with the students in what they believe and what they perceive as actual feedback when they see this from a virtual community of avatars versus just chatting back and forth with the chatbot, so having more representation? Does it build trust? And do those avatars help build thematic understanding? And then finally, we're looking at local realism. So if we feed this simulator with hyper-local geographic data, does that help with the response that the AI simulator can provide us, making it more real? And to do that, we have to do validation studies. So we'll be taking the responses that our AI tool provides us and comparing them to responses of actual humans in that moment.
We're also grappling with some uncharted territory. We're wondering if we can use EEGs and EKGs, and also whether we can use visual trackers. So the emotions or the feelings that maybe the individuals cannot necessarily convey, can we actually see that with some of these tools?
So when we think about this, we have to think about what is the goal.
Well, the ultimate goal for our AI-powered community simulator isn't just to create another cool technology, because we have tons of those, I think we can all agree, but it's to create a tool for our students so that they can fail safely and we can learn quickly.
Exactly. We want our students to crash the plane. We want them to see what it's like in that moment, to learn that cultural competency isn't just a buzzword in a textbook, that it's something between a life-saving intervention and one that is ignored.
So we are moving from guessing to prediction. Imagine that. By testing an intervention with our simulator, we can design health programs that can actually truly resonate with the people that we desire to serve. We want to be able to not only fail safely, but make changes quickly because lives depend on it.
We are moving forward to a future where public health is no longer a guessing game.
Ultimately, our AI community-powered simulator will not just be technology. It will be a tool that will allow us to bridge humanity and data together.
Thank you.
Please help me welcome our next speakers to the stage, Amira Abujamah and Arden Lawson.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Amira Abujamah. I'm a junior here at the University of Maryland, studying computer engineering and public policy.
And my name is Arden Lawson. I'm a junior studying marketing and French.
And we're here to talk to you about how we're using AI to combat food insecurity. If you live in the DMV, you know how expensive it really is. Rent is constantly rising, and groceries and utilities are up. Many families are one unexpected expense away from not being able to put groceries on the table. As we go through this presentation, we're going to introduce you to someone called Ryan. Ryan does everything he's supposed to do. He works, he pays rent, he's trying his best to make sure that food is on the table and he can feed his family. But just like many Americans, he lives in between the space of uncertainty and stability, and one unexpected bill can lead to this space getting significantly smaller. Food insecurity is not what we always imagine it to be. Sometimes it looks like spreading groceries longer than you should, or skipping a meal just so your child doesn't have to. Now, this situation is not unique to Ryan. 1.5 million people here in the DMV experience this every single day. This heat map shows the concentration of food insecurity in areas in the DMV, especially here in Prince George's County, where we are standing. Thousands of families every month in PG County alone reach out for food assistance. Arden and I have had the unique opportunity to work with the Capital Area Food Bank to use our AI skills to see how we can apply that to the issue of food insecurity. What we found is that the Capital Area Food Bank distributes millions of meals across the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area every year. Their warehouses are fully stocked, they have hundreds of partners, and the infrastructure exists. The issue is not a lack of food, it's a lack of access. As we worked here, we found that their phone lines are overcrowded, that their hours of operation ends at 5 p.m., they have limited staff capacity, and they have significant language barriers. Once again, the issue is not a lack of food, it's a lack of access. One evening, Ryan decides that he needs help. Not in 1 month, not in 1 week, but today. And just like many community members, what he needs is clear direction on how to get the help that he needs. So we built a solution. What we built is an AI-powered text messaging and voice model that essentially connects food insecure community members to the different resources that are available. Essentially, all you have to do is call or text this number, simply say, I need food assistance today, and it'll ask you for your zip code, and then it'll double check the Capital Area Food Bank's verified database to provide you with different pantry locations, exact addresses, hours of operations, and clear next steps to get the resources that you need. This eliminates many barriers because it's operational 24/7 as well as offers over 30+ languages. But let me not just tell you about what our model does, let me show you. Let's pretend here that Arden is our AI voice model. I'm gonna call Arden for food assistance. Hi Arden, I need food assistance today.
Hey Amira, thanks for reaching out. Can I get started with your zip code?
Sure, my zip code is 20742.
Perfect, sending some options your way.
Perfect, thank you. But what if I speak French?
Mais ça c'est pas un problème, on peut parler en français.
And what if I speak Mandarin?
我们都可以说中文.
Wow, so you're saying I can call at any time and speak any language, and you're gonna understand what I need and give me the resources?
Exactly, anytime, any language, resources to you.
Wow, that's amazing. Can you explain more about this project?
With pleasure, but first, let me explain to these lovely people how we got here. So let me take you back. It's spring 2025. Amira, myself, another teammate, we're competing in a case competition. Now, this case competition was in collaboration with the Capital Area Food Bank, and the goal was, how can we leverage AI to improve their Hunger Lifeline? For those that are unfamiliar, the Hunger Lifeline is a service that they offer DMV members that allow people to call in and, similar to the demonstration that we did, connect with a real person in order to find a food pantry or food option in their area. So we submit this project, it ends up being a voice model, sounds exactly like me, and we end up winning. What can I say? But our project doesn't stop there, because that's really where the growth and the explosion starts to happen. We're featured in UMD's AI initiatives, and we were even aired over 150 times on CBS News National. And so this sort of created this question amongst our team, like, why are people so interested in the work that we're doing? Like, we know it's amazing, but really the impact that we're able to have, and I think we've distilled it down to this one thing. It really comes to potential. Our project shows that AI has the ability to do good, similar to the entire essence of this speech. And for us, our project distills down to this. It's about creating access without barriers. What our project does is it eliminates the wait time. There's no more waiting until the next business day. There's no more waiting to get a translator. We're able to give people the help that they need when they need it. And that's really what's important, because in those vulnerable moments, it's really the barriers that determine the outcome. So our goal was to eliminate as many barriers as possible. Today, you've all had the wonderful opportunity to hear so many fascinating ways that people are leveraging AI within their industries. They're finding ways to take challenges that have been previously impossible and build these effective and efficient solutions. And for us, this really drives home the ethos of AI and the way that I see it. I think of it as a microphone, similar to the one that I'm carrying. I can start talking like this, and maybe a few people can hear me. But the moment that I come back in here, my voice, my vision, my ideas are amplified to a greater stage to the hundreds of people here. AI functions in a very similar way. It allows a person to take a single idea and amplify it on a greater stage. And for us, it allowed us to go from point A to point B much faster. And we're not alone. We're seeing this across many industries: construction, education, healthcare, sports intelligence. People are finding ways to leverage AI to take care of those remedial tasks so that they're able to focus on the tasks with more impact. But let me bring it back home. In the DMV, we know that hundreds of thousands of people rely on these assistive networks. And so for us, it was figuring out a way that we can shorten the distance between request and fulfillment in terms of language, in terms of any time of the week, and make sure that people get what they need. And for us, we knew that when someone says, I need help, we want to make sure that the answer is immediate and assured. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please help me welcome this evening's moderator to the stage, Hal Dalmay, Director of the Artificial Intelligence Interdisciplinary Institute at Maryland.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm really excited to be here. I think all 4 of these presentations have been just incredibly heartwarming and also exciting about what we're able to accomplish here at the university. So as a bit of background, as the voice of God said, I'm Hal Dalmay. I'm a professor of computer science here. I've been here since about 2010. And my background is now what we call AI. I used to do natural language processing and machine learning primarily. Nowadays, I direct the AI Interdisciplinary Institute here at UMD. Our sort of vision and my perspective on AI is that it really has the opportunity to uplift people in society in ways like what we've just heard about. But I also really believe that we can only do this by truly uniting across all of the disciplines where we have such excellent strength here on campus. And so what AIM, our institute, is trying to do is really provide this opportunity across research, education, internal community building, and external partnerships to ensure that we really can build this future where AI is uplifting for everyone. So I'd like to continue some of the excitement and momentum we've had before. I'm going to call all of the, well, actually, I guess I'm going to call one representative from each of the talks that we've heard so far to come back up onto the stage and answer a few questions. Let's welcome them up. All right, welcome back, everyone. It was super fun to watch all of your presentations from the green room in the back. I think instead of doing sort of like heavy loaded questions, I want to try to keep things light and keep up the energy. You can get the heavy loaded questions in the reception afterwards. So let's start with something about the university. So you're in various roles, whether you're students or faculty or graduate or undergraduate students. What do you find makes Maryland different when it comes to how we do AI here as opposed to other places that you could be? And if you have a preference or what order you want to go in, go for it.
Sure, I can start. Okay. I'll provide my perspective as a student. I feel what makes University of Maryland unique is that they encourage you to innovate. They give you the resources that you need to make sure that you are able to succeed in whatever route you pursue. So the way I learned about machine learning and AI was through an internship program that was sponsored by the University of Maryland from a professor who works directly with the university. So I think that's really what makes it unique. They open up the pathways to new technologies and allow us as students to be able to get the resources that we need to learn these skills.
I can
give the graduate student perspective. So I did my undergraduate degree here in chemical engineering, so nothing related to AI. But when I came to do the PhD in bioengineering, I really wanted to apply my research to AI work. And I found that there's a whole host of different courses that we can take that are just really, really helpful for learning. So for example, in the engineering department, pretty much every department has their own machine learning in that discipline. So I took material science in that, material science engineering and AI. There's also things like capstone programs from the computer science department. So lots of really great professors to sort of share their knowledge with you.
I think for me, the really great part about Maryland is that we're encouraging thinking about these problems and thinking about the benefits to society, right? We really do want to do good. And I think that's at the forefront, and that's what motivates all of our work.
And we're encouraged to do that from an interdisciplinary nature. We are getting to work with people that we would maybe never work with before and learn new skills as faculty about other disciplines that are just helping enhance our work and make it better, and also giving students that opportunity to learn with us and see what the challenges are when you're working on an interdisciplinary team. And so it just makes it really special that you have that safe place to work.
And one of the things that I noticed, so in AIM we have a large number of affiliate faculty. I think it's 200 and something at this point. And when they apply, they fill out a little form describing their research, and I review all of them. And they're just amazing. It's like the amount and like diversity of AI stuff here, right? You've had the opportunity to see 4 things. We could have easily made this, go until 3 a.m. And it would all be like super amazing, high quality stuff. So okay, I will do one like sort of, maybe harder question, but like with respect to AI for the sorts of projects you work on, like what keeps you up at night? Like what's the thing that you really wish you could change, or you wish were being done differently, that, if it weren't for that, we'd be able to, do this good even better?
I think for us, it's scalability. So the amount of data that we are having to collect to build our simulator is immense. It is requiring a lot of time in the field, gathering deep qualitative data from community members to hear their perspectives and to build that into the system. And that's what kind of sets our project apart, I think, from some of the others, is that true human interaction and taking data that isn't found on the census or in the BRFSS, the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance Survey. This is all new data. So how do we make that standardized so that we can collect it across counties, across the state, across the country, to build this simulator so that health departments, federal government officials can use this tool to get public health messages out there more quickly?
On our side, I think the answer to that would probably be actually interactions with industry, the bioprinting industry. So while we don't really have too many problems with like the reliability of the types of AIs we build, it's instead like how do we integrate those AIs into bioprinters that come from many, many different companies. And some companies have much better support for that integration and others do not.
2 things that worry me at night. One is the education aspect. I think people who don't have a solid grasp of AI have inadvertent chance to do harm, more harm than good. So I think education is a big factor. The other one is sort of environmental resources, like the impact that we have on just our energy usage or water usage, all of that stuff. Those things keep me up.
I would say the public perception of AI. I know there's a lot of hesitancy when it comes to using AI systems, especially in the system that Arden and I built. We built a voice model, a hotline. And a lot of people, when they hear that, they asked, are we using that to replace the people who are currently running the hotline? Which isn't true. They are still fully operating the hotline, overseeing operations. Instead, what it's doing is streamlining it and making it so that they can respond to the high volumes amount of calls that they get every day in a reasonable time frame and make sure people hears back in a reasonable amount of time. So I'd say just the public perception and the fear around AI when it comes to job security.
Yeah, actually building on these last 2 comments, what is one myth you'd like to debunk, right? So you've kind of gone one, you can go for another one if you want, right? But you know, I think you know, AI has come to mean so many things, right? And that makes it often hard for people to sort of grasp on to like what it is and what it isn't. So yeah, we'll play, what is it, Mythbusters or something like that is the TV show. I have a 5.5-year-old, so I don't watch TV anymore. So yeah, who wants to debunk some myths?
I think one myth is related to something we call generalizability. So the idea that you could train a model to do one thing and it'll work well at doing that thing everywhere it goes. If you take an AI model that's trained at the School of Medicine in Baltimore and you take it to Pittsburgh, it's not going to perform the same.
For me, I think that AI is this magical thing that can output something wonderful. We don't, again, going back to Mario, when we were training Mario, he would hop around for half an hour and we didn't know why. And so we changed some numbers. Why did we change it from 5 to a 20? It worked. A lot of it is like that, and it astounds me still that it does, but yeah.
Yeah, one thing I would say is the idea that AI is taking entry-level jobs. For me, I know I'm gonna go into my career pretty soon working as a software engineer, and that's one thing that I was originally concerned about because, well, AI can code and it can code much faster than I can, so why wouldn't they just implement that? But what I've been finding as I look into industries who are adjusting to the use of AI is that instead they're encouraging their employees to use AI in order to be able to work faster and reproduce code. But one thing, and kind of like what you were talking about, AI it doesn't know everything. It still needs a human to be able to look over it and check it. I think it just makes things a lot faster and efficient.
And to that end, our role as faculty and students is critical because we need to be able to teach our students how to look at what an AI output is and how to view that with a critical lens. You still have to understand the science behind your discipline to know what is being presented to you.
Yeah, so how do you see the sort of like relationship between the disciplines you're in and, right, AI itself, right? Whether you're coming from health or engineering or computer science, you know, how do you see the interplay between, you know, making advances in one discipline and how that feeds off advances in AI and back and forth?
Sure, so I can talk about a little bit what we built with our food voice model. And what we realized as we were building this AI platform is that this isn't something that can only apply to food insecurity. It can apply to a wide range of things. We talked about it a little bit in our presentation, but education, shelter, tax resources, all of these different things. So yeah.
I mean, I think this notion of having departments and specialties and being siloed is increasingly going to be changed with the advent of AI. I think the solutions that we might be searching for may have been developed in some other field, and I think it's great that we're starting to talk to each other more and really working on projects that are multi-collaborative.
It's forcing us to think about data in a new way, right? And think about the ways in which we collect data and how in public health, for instance, it might be different than someone in CMNS, where we're looking at very aggregated data, very community population-based data. But to build this AI tool, we're really trying to get down to that N of one and what a person really is going through and thinking. And so it's forcing us to have these conversations about data collection and ethics and trust and really helping both sides build their rapport within the AI field.
There are like a lot of different opportunities for collaboration as well. So for us, bioprinting is something that's called like an additive manufacturing technique, but there are many other additive manufacturing techniques, just regular 3D printing. So I'm lucky enough to get to talk to the people applying AI to additive manufacturing in material science engineering, in mechanical engineering, and so on, to get better ideas and see how they approach similar problems.
I think for the last question, or what I think will probably be the last question as I look at the time, Okay, so if I was to bust a myth, right, it would be the myth that AI is 3 years old, right? So AI has been around since the 50s, at least as a named field. It's arguably been around for probably 100 years at this point as at least a conceptual device. But it's undeniable that it's changed dramatically in the last 2 or 3 years, right? Like both of these things are true. And so what I'd like to probably close out with is to hear from each of you about, what is it that you were able to do that like you really just couldn't have done 3 to 5 years ago? Like how has the change in technology enabled something fundamentally new?
I'm going to start with a non-serious answer that I got married like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I don't remember exactly. But my husband wanted us to write vows, and I did not want to do that. And so I tried to write a neural network to generate vows, and it did not work. It looked like Swedish or something, I don't know. But now I can go to ChatGPT, and it writes a beautiful one from the perspective of an engineer. I love it. Yeah, that's all.
How do you follow that?
I'd say this is kind of on the same end, but especially with our voice model, Arden talked a little bit about how we actually cloned his model, or his voice, to build this model. So when you talk to it, you're just talking to a virtual Arden. And that's something that really couldn't have been done 3 to 5 years ago. Additionally, a lot of LLMs have the issue of hallucination, where they make up data. So it wasn't really necessarily efficient or the best idea to use that for something as serious as food access. But now as AI advances and it becomes much more accurate, these are now things that we can apply these systems to.
For us, it's been the advancement of the vision models. So basically what we're doing is we're taking images of these bioprinted constructs and having an AI also tell us like what is the print quality in it without any human intervention. So the models there have improved a lot, and then also the ability to put models on smaller devices. So it's like called model quantization. That's advanced a lot because hardware for it has also advanced in the last 3 to 5 years.
All right, awesome. So to wrap up, I want to sort of emphasize that tonight we heard about technology, and we heard about how that technology impacts people across 4 fairly different disciplines. We've seen AI improving safety, expanding access, strengthening public health, and solving real challenges that real people face. What stood out to me a lot is that this sort of work is never happening in a silo, but is really happening all across campus in a way that I think is extremely exciting for what's going to happen over the next 5 years. The most important thing is that there's a reception now. So I'd like you all to join us in the reception. The speakers, including those who aren't on stage right now, will be there. They and I welcome any questions, anything you'd like to talk about. I'd like to thank them. I'd also like to thank all of you, all of our alums, our partners, our supporters, in being part of this momentum and of this opportunity that we have for the university going forward. Thank you all.